demonic ownership. A house like that becomes a spiritual altar where evil is fed generation after generation. A cursed property transfers its weight to anyone who dares live within it. Just as a man can inherit land, he can also inherit the spiritual condition of that land. And unless it is broken by the power of God, that curse continues like a river flowing from one soul to the next. I must sound this alarm. Do not be deceived by beauty. Do not be seduced by cheap prices. Some houses are cheap because they are costly in the spirit. Some are attractive because the enemy uses beauty to cover bondage. A lovely garden can cover a graveyard. A shining chandelier can hide a shadow. Not every dream house is a dream. Some are nightmares dressed as blessings. The Bible warns us that the devil disguises himself as an angel of light, and I tell you, he also disguises his snares as cozy homes. This is why discernment is vital. This is why prayer before possession is critical. For what you ignore in the spirit will fight you in the natural. What you overlook in discernment will overtake you in destruction. Not every door you walk through is a door of opportunity. Some are doors of captivity. A cursed house is not just a place. It is a prison disguised as a palace. Families have walked into such homes with joy, only to walk out broken, empty, and in despair. What you do not see can destroy what you love most. That is why you must open your eyes, sharpen your spirit, and understand this truth. Not every house is a house. Some are demonically charged battlegrounds waiting for the next victim. Many people believe that a house is nothing more than concrete bricks and wooden beams. They think the only thing that matters is the size of the rooms, the beauty of the design, or the location on a nice street. But I tell you by the Spirit of God, houses are not only physical, they are also spiritual. Every wall has memory, every foundation carries a history, and every piece of land has a voice in the realm of the spirit. Some houses are not just places of shelter. They are containers of curses, keepers of secrets, and prisons of demonic covenants. The devil does not only roam in the wilderness, he plants himself in cities, in homes, and in the very ground where people build their lives. You see, from the beginning, the enemy has always looked for territory. He knows that man was created to inhabit land, to dwell in homes, to multiply in spaces. So he seeks to defile what God created to be a blessing. A cursed house is not cursed by accident. It is cursed by transaction. Somewhere in its past, blood was shed. Somewhere in its history, words of death were spoken. Somewhere in its foundation, wicked men dedicated it to idols and demons, and those spirits do not leave willingly. They cling to the structure, to the soil, to the very atmosphere, waiting for the next generation to walk in so that the torment can continue. There are homes that were built over burial grounds where the cries of the dead have never been silenced. There are houses where witch doctors, mediums, and occultists performed rituals, pouring blood into the soil, binding the property to satanic covenants. There are even houses inherited from ancestors who lived in rebellion against God, and the curses they carried were never broken. They simply rested upon the walls and passed down to every new occupant. People call it family misfortune or bad vibes, but in truth these are spiritual legalities holding the house captive. Do you not know that land itself can be polluted? When Cain murdered Abel, the blood cried out from the ground. When Israel sinned against God, the land vomited them out. So if sin and blood can defile the land, how much more can it defile a house standing upon it? The enemy understands this principle, so he marks properties with demonic seals. That is why some people feel constant heaviness when they enter certain houses, why sudden tragedy strikes after moving in, why marriages that were once peaceful begin to crumble inside those walls. It is not the paint, it is not the furniture, it is the unseen history of the house crying out. I tell you, cursed houses are silent witnesses of evil. They hold memories of violence, adultery, bloodshed, and rituals. They are like wells poisoned at the source, and no matter how clean the water looks at the surface, anyone who drinks from it will suffer. In the same way, you may decorate a cursed house with gold and beauty, but beneath the surface lies the poison of spiritual bondage. People walk in with smiles and dreams, but soon their joy turns into tears, their health into weakness, their wealth into dust. This is not imagination. It is the hidden truth about cursed houses. There are stories of families who never understood why their children turned rebellious, why their finances collapsed, why their health withered, until they discovered the history of the house they lived in. Some found that murders had been committed there, others discovered occult rituals had been performed, and some realized that the very ground beneath their house had been a battlefield of blood. These hidden truths are what the enemy uses as his license to remain generation after generation. So many are ignorant of this. They think the only danger in a house is leaking pipes or broken locks, but the greater danger is unseen, demonic habitation hidden in its foundation. That is why some people say, the moment we moved into this house, everything changed. They speak of sudden nightmares, restless sleep, constant fighting, mysterious illnesses, and money slipping through their hands. It is not just coincidence. It is the result of a house carrying curses that have not been broken. I declare to you, houses are not neutral. They are either sanctified by the presence of God or contaminated by the presence of darkness. The enemy thrives in secrecy, hiding the truth behind paint and furniture. But when the Spirit of God opens your eyes, you will see that some houses are not homes. They are altars of bondage. This is the hidden truth about cursed houses. What looks like shelter in the natural can be a snare in the spiritual, and what is ignored in history becomes a weapon in the present. How can you discern if a house is not just a house, but a cage of torment, a den of demons, a prison of curses? The devil does not hide forever. He leaves traces, marks, and signs that reveal his habitation. When a house is spiritually dangerous, you will not need to wait long before the symptoms begin to show. These signs are not accidents, they are warnings. They are the fingerprints of the enemy. And if you are sensitive in the spirit, you will know that something is not normal, something is not natural, something is not right. One of the first signs is strange noises and disturbances in the atmosphere. You hear footsteps when no one is walking. You hear whispers when no one is speaking. Doors slam though no wind is blowing. Lights flicker though no power is failing. Shadows move though no one is passing by. These are not tricks of the imagination. They are manifestations of spiritual squatters. Demons announce their presence by disturbing the peace of the house. They want to intimidate. They want to unsettle. They want to create fear, because fear is the open door through which they tighten their grip. Another sign is recurring sicknesses and infirmities that defy explanation. Families move into a house and suddenly, one by one, they begin to fall sick. Children develop strange fevers. Adults begin to experience constant fatigue. Doctors run tests but find no clear cause. The medication only suppresses symptoms but never brings full healing. Why? Because the root is not physical, it is spiritual. The very atmosphere of the house becomes toxic, not in the natural sense, but in the spiritual sense. Demonic forces afflict the body as a way of tormenting the soul, and until the spiritual chains are broken, the cycle of sickness continues. A third sign is the cycle of poverty and financial loss that seems to cling to everyone living in the house. No matter how much money comes in, it disappears. Investments collapse, jobs are lost, opportunities vanish. The house itself becomes like a devourer, swallowing resources and draining progress. People move in with dreams of prosperity, but instead they face constant struggle. It is as though an unseen hand steals the harvest before it reaches their table. This is not mere mismanagement, it is a curse attached to the property. For just as God commanded blessings upon the houses of the obedient, so too can curses rest upon the houses of the disobedient. There is also the presence of occult objects and hidden idols that sometimes remain within a property. You may find strange statues, carved figures, hidden charms, or strange markings upon the walls or foundations. These are not decorations, they are demonic anchors. They are physical tokens of spiritual covenants, and as long as they remain in the house, the demons they represent feel entitled to remain as well. Even if the owners removed most of them, sometimes just one forgotten item, a talisman, a cursed book, a ritual object, is enough to keep the doorway open for oppression. Then there is the sign of constant strife and division within the family. Couples who once lived in harmony suddenly begin to quarrel day and night. Parents and children turn against each other. Siblings cannot dwell in unity. The atmosphere of the house seems to stir arguments, ignite tempers, and fuel hatred. No matter how much effort is made, peace does not remain. This is not simply a clash of personalities. It is the spirit of conflict operating in the environment. Demons know that a house divided against itself cannot stand, so they plant strife as a weapon to weaken the family. Not every house is just bricks, cement, and walls. Some houses are not homes, they are altars. They are spiritual traps dressed in physical beauty. A house may look polished, painted, and decorated to impress your eyes, but behind those doors, in the shadows of those walls, there may be ancient covenants, blood sacrifices, and demonic agreements crying out for vengeance. People walk in thinking they are buying comfort, yet unknowingly they step into a battlefield where generations before them lost the fight. Some homes are not built on peace, they are built on pain. Some are not raised upon joy, they are raised upon blood. You can furnish it, you can redecorate it, but if you do not discern in the spirit, you may be placing your family inside a satanic cage without even knowing it. Listen carefully. There are houses where laughter dies as soon as it enters, where marriages collapse the moment the couple moves in, where children begin to rebel, fall sick, or lose their way, not because of bad parenting, but because unseen powers are raging within the very atmosphere. There are houses that swallow wealth like a bottomless pit. No matter how much money enters, it evaporates into curses that drain strength and suffocate destiny. People often think it is just bad luck or bad energy, but I tell you, this is not chance, this is not accident, this is not coincidence, this is demonic habitation. Have you not heard of families that were prosperous, but the day they changed houses, their blessings collapsed? Have you not heard of individuals who moved into a house and suddenly fell into sickness after sickness, confusion after confusion? The doctors could not explain, the psychologists could not explain, and yet the torment continued day and night. Why? Because the house itself carried the mark of evil. It was not just a place to live, it was a place possessed. And the tragedy is that so many ignore the signs, thinking that prayer is only for the soul and not for the soil, forgetting that the devil also lays claim to ground, to walls, to property. In some houses, you can sense the uneasiness the moment you step inside. The air feels heavy, the nights feel restless, the peace feels absent. Shadows move, though no one is walking. Whispers echo, though no one is speaking. Doors slam, though no wind is blowing. It is not imagination. It is infestation, and the enemy delights in keeping people blind to the truth, so they dismiss the warning signs until it is too late. Do you know that there are houses where generations of deaths have occurred? Houses where suicides, murders, and tragedies have repeated like a cycle? These are not random happenings. Fear and oppression in the atmosphere. Visitors step inside and immediately feel heavy, uncomfortable, or uneasy. Children refuse to sleep alone, crying of nightmares and seeing dark figures. People feel watched, unsettled, or drained of energy whenever they are in the house. Sometimes even animals react, barking or growling at unseen presences. These are not coincidences. These are indicators that the house is occupied by forces of darkness. And still another sign is the repetition of tragedy, accidents, sudden deaths, miscarriages, mental breakdowns, or repeated patterns of destruction that seem to follow every occupant. One family moves in and suffers, they leave, another family comes, and the same misfortunes begin again. The house itself carries the curse, and it passes it on to whoever inhabits it. Beloved, these are the signs that a house is spiritually dangerous. Strange disturbances, unexplained sickness, cycles of poverty, occult remnants, unending strife, oppressive fear, and repeated tragedies. Where these things are present, you are not just dealing with bad luck or poor circumstances. You are dealing with a dwelling that has been invaded by darkness. The signs are there for those who have eyes to see, ears to hear, and hearts to discern. Demons do not drift into houses like the wind. They do not wander into homes by accident. Spirits are legalists. They seek permission. They claim rights. They look for open doors. The devil cannot just walk into your house without a cause. He needs a gateway, a key, an invitation. And once he finds it, he plants himself deep in the foundations and declares, "This place is mine." That is why some homes, no matter how beautiful they appear, no matter how expensive they are, no matter how carefully they are decorated, carry the invisible weight of bondage, because somewhere, somehow, demons were given entry. One of the main ways demons occupy homes is through rituals and sacrifices. When blood is shed upon the land, the ground remembers. When witch doctors, occultists, or sorcerers dedicate a house or a piece of land through rituals, they are not simply performing empty ceremonies. They are transferring ownership in the spirit. They pour blood, burn incense, bury charms, or chant incantations to invoke powers of darkness and chain the property under demonic rule. Every ritual performed becomes a contract, and every sacrifice becomes a signature written in blood. Once the devil has been invited into a place, he does not easily leave. He claims it as his altar, and any family that comes to dwell there unknowingly walks into a battlefield that has already been dedicated to evil. Another way demons enter homes is through the sins of former occupants. Do not underestimate the power of sin to stain a place. When adultery, abuse, violence, or murder has taken place inside a house, those actions defile the walls